Silas makes $160,000 a year, while Elena brings in $85,000. When they first moved into their glass and steel apartment in the city, they did exactly what society tells every modern couple to do. They split everything 50-50. It nearly ended them. It wasn't a gambling addiction or a secret second family that lit the fuse. It was a $14 plate of avocado toast on a Sunday morning. Most people look at that fight and see two people arguing over brunch, but at Exponential Wealth, we see a systemic failure of the equality myth. We see the invisible hand of the Monocle Tycoon reaching into the domestic sphere to extract peace and replace it with resentment. This isn't relationship advice. It's a forensic audit of the three financial operating systems couples use to survive. We are going to expose why the most popular system is a mathematical trap, why the second is a psychological prison, and the one exponential blueprint that actually preserves both the bank account and the soul. Let's start with the default setting, the 50-50 split. It feels logical and modern. Same rent, same groceries, same streaming services, split right down the middle. Clean, binary, and simple. If you both earn identical salaries, the math is beautiful. But here is what the mad scientist sees when he looks at the ledger. In 2026, the data shows that 50% of millennial and Gen Z couples living together have abandoned the equal split. They aren't doing it because they're lazy. They're doing it because they realized that equal dollars do not equal equal weight. Think about the physics of the bubble. If Silas earns $10,000 a month and Bella earns $4,000 and they split a $3,000 luxury apartment, Silas is spending 15% of his take-home on rent, while Bella is spending nearly 40% of her entire life's energy on that same roof. Bella doesn't feel like an equal partner. She feels like an indentured servant to Silas's lifestyle. She starts rationing, skipping the gym, and saying she isn't hungry when they go out. The most insidious part of the 50-50 trap is that Silas doesn't feel like a villain. He feels fair because he is paying his half. But under the surface, a resentment debt is accumulating at a 30% interest rate. Every time Silas buys a new gadget while Bella is calculating the cost of eggs, the foundation of the relationship cracks. It is a financial siege. When one person has a massive surplus and the other has a structural deficit, the relationship isn't a partnership. It's a landlord-tenant agreement with better furniture. Realizing the 50-50 split was a war zone, Silas and Bella tried the opposite, the full merge. One account, one pot, what's mine is yours. It lasted exactly 4 months. The problem with the full merge isn't the math, it's the psychology of autonomy. Suddenly, every purchase becomes a public record. If Bella wants a $40 moisturizer, she feels the phantom weight of Silas's judgment. If Silas buys a $150 vintage vinyl record, he feels the need to draft a memo justifying the investment. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, scalable vector illustration. The full merge creates an accidental surveillance state. When you lose the ability to spend money without explanation, you lose your adulthood. You become a child asking for an allowance from a committee of one. It creates a cage made of shared responsibility where nobody wants to approve the budget. In the eyes of the Monocle Tycoon, this is perfect. Two consumers so paralyzed by mutual observation that they stop building individual wealth altogether. Privacy is the first casualty of the full merge, and without privacy, there is no true autonomy. Before they called the lawyers, they consulted the exponential blueprint and found the proportional contribution protocol. Instead of splitting costs in dollars, you split them in percentages of life force. First, you identify your shared life, which includes essentials like rent and utilities alongside shared luxuries like vacations. Let's say the total cost is $4,000. Most would say $2,000 each, but the mad scientist says no. Silas brings in $9,000 and Bella brings in $4,000. Combined, the household generates $13,000. Those $4,000 expenses represent roughly 30% of their total power. Therefore, the only mathematically fair solution is for both to contribute exactly 30% of their individual incomes. Silas puts in $2,700 and Bella puts in $1,200. Silas is paying more in raw dollars, but they are both feeling the exact same financial weight. They are both sacrificing the same share of their energy to sustain their shared life. The exponential secret that makes this work is the autonomy shield. Once that 30% is paid into the shared vault, the rest is yours, guilt-free, private, and absolute. If Bella wants skincare, she uses her personal account, and Silas doesn't get a notification. If Silas wants a gadget, Bella doesn't have to wonder if that money should have gone toward the electric bill. By separating needs from wants, you remove 90% of the friction. You preserve the individual within the couple. This is how you defeat the resentment engine. You create a shared success while maintaining the private property of the soul. This separation allows for micro joys without macro conflicts. You cannot set this system and forget it. The Monocle Tycoon relies on your inertia to let the gears grind you down. Silas and Bella implemented the money date. Once a month, 30 minutes, Sunday evening. This isn't a time for fighting, it's a time for audit. They review the shared account, check the shared luxuries, and adjust the percentages. If Silas gets a raise, his dollar contribution increases automatically. If Bella pivots her career, the system recalibrates. It sounds clinical, but would you rather have a romantic relationship that ends in a screaming match over a receipt, or a clinical partnership that results in 10 years of peace and mutual respect? Transparency is the only antidote to the resentment that wealth disparity creates. It turns your money and my money into our plan and our freedom. There's one final level, the exponential accelerator. Once the shared life is covered, Silas and Bella take another 10% of their combined income and put it into the Exponential Growth Fund. This joint brokerage account is for the future version of themselves. It funds the house and the retirement in the Swiss Alps. By investing together proportionally, they aren't just roommates splitting a bill, they are co-founders of a wealth empire. You don't walk away from a partner when you are both co-owners of a thriving financial ecosystem. This joint venture turns the relationship from a cost center into a wealth generator. It aligns your long-term incentives so that every dollar earned by either person contributes to a shared victory. The world wants you to keep your finances vague so the banks can collect overlapping fees and retailers can make you lose track of your budget. The Monocle Tycoon wants you fighting over avocado toast so you're not looking at the real enemies: inflation, stagnating wages, and the destruction of the middle class. When couples are fractured by financial friction, they are easy to control. When they are united by an exponential protocol, they become an economic force that cannot be easily shaken. You have three choices: the 50-50 split, which leads to resentment, the full merge, which leads to a loss of identity, or the proportional protocol, which leads to exponential wealth. It's time to stop splitting your life and start building it. Sit down with your partner tonight and look at the raw numbers, because if you can't survive a money date, you won't survive the economic storms that are coming. The market doesn't care about your feelings, but your relationship depends on your math. Subscribe to Exponential Wealth and hit the notification bell as we track the money until the trail goes cold. I want to know in the comments which system you are using and if you are the one suffocating under a 50-50 split. I'm Silas, and we'll see you in the vault.